we are going to give our 3 biggest surprises of this Pittsburgh Penguins season so far. Let us know in the comment section below. What are your 3 biggest surprises looking back on this season so far? Horwat, I'm going to let you go first. Your 3 biggest surprises of the 2024-25 Penguin season leading up to the Four Nations face-off.
In full transparency, I'm not overly surprised by a lot that has happened this year.
Really?
I think going into the year, I think the expectations weren't high, so certain things weren't gonna necessarily blow me away. But I did manage to come up with 3 that are certainly just definitely head scratching. And the first one amongst them is Tristan Jarry's downfall. Now, again, you probably could have predicted it considering last season and the season before, and maybe even the season before that. But something about this year felt worse than the rest, and just, again, very no good, no fun. I don't think I expected him to be sent to the minors on 2 occasions to try and rehash his game and to try and reset himself. And I just kind of think that's where the big surprise comes in. It's just the idea that he genuinely, if he was on his game, genuinely could have been in that Team Canada conversation for the Four Nations face-off. We saw the goalies that they went with. They didn't even give Logan Thompson a call. Shocking.
Stupid.
Very dumb. But if Tristan Jarry was on his game and playing at the level that people believed he could have been in that kind of conversation. But instead, he's puttering around in the AHL, trying to find himself again. And that is probably the most stunning part of the season, is just the fact that the downfall got bad enough that he had to get sent to the AHL to kind of recuperate. The second one is, I really didn't expect the power play to click this much. I mean, it was bad last year, and anything better would have been, a step in the right direction, and it couldn't have gotten any worse. But it's 6th in the league right now.
Yeah.
I don't think I expected that. I think I obviously expected steps forward, maybe into, it was 32nd last year?
I believe 32nd or 31st. It was them and the Capitals that were just battling it out for the last spot.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe in the around 20, maybe 15. Maybe they could sneak into the top 10 somehow, like 10 or 11. But 6, and they're way out of the playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite surprising. And the third one, it was a bit of a toss-up. I'm going to go with, I didn't expect the record, or at least the vibes around the team, to be this bad. I know the record on paper doesn't look overly terrible. As I take time to pull it up, at where are we? 22, 24, and 9 overtime losses. But only 4 points up on the Buffalo Sabres for last in the East. Again, on paper, it's not a totally terrible record, but it's under 500 and just well below A, what we expected, and B, just the vibes around the team are way worse than what this record would say. So I think that's another thing that I'm a little surprised at, is just how down bad this team has gotten this year.
Yeah, that is obviously a stark contrast to what we expected. Now, here's the thing. We didn't expect them to be a bona fide playoff team. We didn't expect them to be sitting in a playoff spot, sitting pretty, and saying, hey, listen, all we have to do is play our game and we'll be in the playoffs. The question becomes, who do we face? That wasn't going to be the case for the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2024-25. But to have them be in a conversation, an honest conversation about, well, can they get into the top 5? They're certainly a top 10 draft pick this year, but can they get into the top 5? I think that's where the surprise comes. I don't think I had this discussion yesterday on Tip of the Ice-Burgh Live. I don't think it is so far below expectation that it puts Mike Sullivan on the hot seat, because that's going to start to become a conversation once again. But I do think it's lower than expectation. I don't think I expected other teams to be as good as they are. I didn't expect Columbus to be in the fight for the playoffs. I didn't expect the Ottawa Senators to be as good as they are whenever they have good goaltending. I didn't expect the Detroit Red Wings, the Montreal Canadiens to have the seasons that they're having. I certainly didn't expect the Washington Capitals to all of a sudden be a President's Trophy contending team once again. But I agree with you. It is a little surprising, the overall vibe of this team, especially considering Crosby still performing well, and you're getting career years out of your best 2 wingers right now. Like Brian Rust, Rickard Rakell both on pace for a career high in goals. Rust, by the way, on pace right now for 30-goal season. We'll see if he can continue. Rickard Rakell on pace for 36, which blows away his previous career high. And both of them are on pace to either tie or surpass their career high in points. Russ is on pace to have a 60-point season for the first time in his career. Rickard Rakell is on pace to tie his career high with 69 points. So with that in mind, yeah, it's a little surprising that the rest of the team isn't good enough to even have them in that bubble conversation right now, because I don't think they are. They need to do work to get into the conversation to be into the playoff bubble. And I think that is 100% surprising to me. I went with, to be completely honest, I went with 2 of your 3, but I had extras just in case this happened. The power play I did have on here, but mine was specifically the fact that the split power play is working, and not just working, like you mentioned, working well. You have to give credit where credit is due, and credit is due to David Quinn and the Penguins coaching staff. I understand that it's a collective effort, but he's the guy that right now has the title, right? How much did we bash on Todd Reirden last year, even though it was Mike Sullivan too, it was Ty Hennis too, it was the players too who gave input, and you know you're going to take that input whenever it's future Hall of Famers. But David Quinn is spearheading this effort, and the fact and the decision that he said, Crosby, top power play with Matt Grzelcyk. Second unit is going to be Letang, Karlsson, Malkin. You guys can go play and have second unit, second fiddle. And it's worked. They've not been really a unit 1, unit 2. It's maybe been unit A, unit B, unit 1A, unit 1B, whatever you want to call it. It's been very even. But Matt Grzelcyk on the power play 1 with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust has been the 3 kind of constants on that unit. Extremely, extremely good. And I think the logic is simple. Get the puck on Crosby's stick more often. How bad of an idea could that be, right? It's a good idea. It's been working, and the split power play has been a big surprise because we actually came on this show on December 21st, right after we had heard that this was going to happen, and we said, this is not a sustainable solution. Why would you take 4 future Hall of Famers and split them up on the power play? And that way, I'm kind of an old-time thinker where I say, this is power play unit 1, this is power play unit 2, and if you don't have a good first power play, it doesn't matter. But it's been working. Since December 20th, the Penguins have the 5th best power play in the National Hockey League, and season long, like you mentioned, 6th best in the National Hockey League. So I agree with you. The power play has been one of the biggest revelations of this entire season. The fact that it's in that fashion, splitting up your stars, that to me, it makes it even more surprising. But outside of that, Owen Pickering has been one of the biggest surprises of this year. I didn't expect him to make his NHL debut this season, let alone make his debut, get more than a cup of coffee at the NHL level, and look good in top pairing minutes. How many times did he play over 20 minutes a game and nobody batted an eye? Everybody just said, yeah, that fits. That works. The kid played up and down the lineup. I think the kid also played on the right side for a couple of games. He just does anything the coaching staff asks of him, and that's why they like him, and that's why he has success at the age of 20, playing a very difficult position of top-line left-shot defenseman on the opposite end of Kris Letang. So I'm very impressed with Owen Pickering. He went down to the AHL. He's getting a little bit more seasoning, and he had a couple of nice moments at the AHL All-Star game. So Owen Pickering, to me, I think if you're talking about surprises, he has to be on the short list. And the last one that I'll get to here before we just kind of bounce back and forth, Jesse Puljujärvi not getting a real chance with this organization. He was the best player in the preseason, bar none. Now, of course, Sidney Crosby did need to be the best player in the preseason, so he didn't play very much. And he didn't, when he played, how much effort are you really giving? Same thing goes with Malkin, Karlsson, who was injured at that point, and Kris Letang. It's like, okay, it's the preseason. You can kind of just get up to speed. You're not trying to earn anything. Jesse Puljujärvi knew coming in that he would have to earn every single shift that he is given at this level. And he earned it. He was great in the preseason, got the opportunity on the third line to start the season. And since then, 26 games played, a boatload of healthy scratches. And just yesterday, sent back down to the AHL level after passing through waivers a few weeks ago. It's just shocking to me that a guy that has size, that has good skating ability, that has great offensive instincts, that likes to play physical, can't find a spot in Mike Sullivan's lineup more consistently. A former 4th overall pick that I think still has it. And that's the thing. When he plays, it looks like he still has it. But for some reason, I don't know if it's the Juuso Riikola effect. Everybody likes him except for that coaching staff, and that's the case with Jesse Puljujärvi. So those are my three after your three, is the fact that it's a split power play, Owen Pickering, and the lack of opportunity for Jesse Puljujärvi in Pittsburgh.